Good evening, everyone, in person and watching on Access LaPorte County Channel 97 and at our website at accesslaportecounty.org. My name is Drew White. I am the Director of Operations for Access LaPorte County, and I would like to welcome everybody to the League of Women Voters Forum here. It's the first of two forums to be held. Tonight is at the LaPorte County Complex. Next Monday we will be meeting at the Michigan City Hall. To tell you a little bit about how we got involved here at Access LaPorte County, we have a mission to strengthen the area's governmental, economic, educational, cultural, and social well-being by using technology to present and index accurate information and resources in LaPorte County. When we were determining how best to handle the upcoming elections, I turned to the League of Women Voters, who has been running these forums for quite some time now, and they are much more weathered than I am. And so we are very honored and pleased to partner with the League of Women Voters of LaPorte County. And with that, I would like to turn it over to our host and moderator for tonight's event, the president of the League of Women Voters of LaPorte County, Bonnie Schaff.
Hi, I am Bonnie Schaff, the president. Okay. Okay. Hi. My name is Bonnie Schaff. Okay, you can hear me now. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of LaPorte County. I want to, on behalf of the League, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. It's nice to see such a good turnout on a, good, not good weather. But the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. We encourage informed and active participation in government. We do this by studying and advocating for public policies, by reaching out to the public with civic education, monthly lunch and dinner meetings with community leaders speaking at them, and we engage voters through candidate forums like this, also through voter registration drives, and on our online voter's guide called vote411.org. If you look that up, you can get all kinds of information. You could even get a link to register from that, and you can also get a link to your ballot. It says check here, click here for your ballot, and then all of the candidates have been asked to submit answers to questions, and they write them out. They write out their answers. It's never edited or anything. They write out their answers and publish that, and then you can take and submit that to the League, and then you can take that and look up a race and compare all the candidates. Now, a lot of candidates have already filled it out. Not all of them have yet, though, so we do encourage you, if you're a candidate or if you know any candidates, take a look at Vote 411 so you see how good it is, and then encourage, any candidates to participate in that, to get involved in it. And then be sure to use it if you're not a candidate anyway. So, well, one other thing that we're doing, this is the first announcement, it just got finalized today, but we have a big event coming up a few weeks from now on Tuesday, April 26th. It's a Tuesday, 5 p.m. at Dworkin Center in Purdue Northwest, at Westville. We are co-sponsoring, along with PNW, a presentation that's going to be given by Professor Jonathan Schwartz. He's the chair of the Political Science Department at PNW in Hammond. He is talking on the subject of democracies versus autocracies. and it's very timely. So this is just going to be, he's going to explain it to us. He knows it, and he can explain that. So that's open to the public. We're encouraging students and the general public to come to that. So, and now, thank you for joining us tonight. And we do have, as Drew mentioned, we have another candidate forum next Monday, the 4th of April, in City Hall in Michigan City. And we divided up the candidates between the two nights, kind of based on geography and to try to even up the numbers for each night. So anyway, so there are going to be a lot of people at that one, because in case you can't tell, there are not any township candidates here tonight. We had invited several of them. They're on the program. I hope you all got the program, but they're listed here, and they're not going to be here tonight. Well, some of them just didn't plan to come, but some that did plan to come ended up getting invited to another candidate forum tonight, same time. So, and it's just for their own geographical area, and it's a fraternal organization that invited them, and so it's not open to the public, but they're there. So because they all talked to us about that, we invited them to come to the forum next Monday, so they have a chance to be there to do that. So, so tonight we don't have any township candidates, but we do have some state and county candidates. And the rules and the way this works now is that each of the candidates that are unopposed in the primary by someone else in their own party will be given 2 minutes to give an opening statement, just an introduction of themselves, and at least you get to meet them. And then, but for the candidates that have an opponent, even if the opponent is not here tonight, we are also going to give them the 2-minute opening statement, plus they will have, they'll be taking questions and answering those. They have 1 minute to answer each question, and then at the end they have 1 minute to give a closing statement to finish their answers or whatever they want to, just wind it up. And then when they're done, we will, they will come back and be seated, and then we have some more candidates coming up there. So and the only questions that they're going to answer are questions that they're taking from the audience in writing. So nobody in the audience will be standing up and asking a question. You have to write it out. And there are some women around here with index cards and pencils. We call them our runners, and they are going to hand those out. Just raise your hand if you want to write out a question, and they'll give you that, and then give it back to them, and then they will take it to the screeners table back there. And the screeners are 3 people that are like the most experienced ones in the county. They've been doing this for about 50 years each, I think, and so they know what they're doing. But they'll go through the questions and decide which ones they're going to hand over to me, and those are the ones that I will read to the candidates and ask the candidates. They can, they can, in the interests of time, or if they think it's a duplicate question already been asked or something, they reserve the right to decide which ones to submit to me. So anyway, so submit your questions anytime, even now, starting now if you want to. Thank you. And this is one of the runners here, Sandy. Okay, well, tonight we're going to begin now with turning to the candidates up here. The prosecuting attorney candidates, there's one on the Democratic ticket and one on the Republican ticket. So they're not opposing each other in this, in the primary. They will in the general. So, but since they're not opposed in the primary, but in their own party, we're going to ask them to each give a 2-minute introduction. And we'll start with Mr. John Lake.
Good evening. My name is John Lake. I'm the elected prosecutor of LaPorte County. 4 years ago, I ran for prosecutor based on my experience, my integrity, and my leadership. I made several promises at that time if I was elected. That I'd start working on a mental health court. I'd restart the child fatality review team. I'd reform the sexual assault response team, and I'd bring leadership to the prosecutor's office, and I'd work with law enforcement. I've kept those promises. We collaborated with LaPorte Circuit Court to start a juvenile wellness court. That's the first juvenile mental health court in the state of Indiana. We restarted the child fatality review team. In fact, in raising awareness, we've not now had an unsafe sleep fatality since November of 2020, when we had 9 of those in the years 2019 and 2020. I reformed the sexual assault response team. In fact, I created the LaPorte Stark Regional SART team with the Stark County Prosecutor, with an emphasis on trauma-informed investigation. I provided victim advocates now that are on call 24 hours a day without any cost to LaPorte County by collaborating with a rape crisis center in Lake County. We filed 119 child molesting cases, and in fact 14 defendants are now serving over 30-year sentences because they've been convicted during my term. I brought leadership to the prosecutor's office. I ended the constant turnover of staff. And most importantly, I ended the gender pay gap that was present when I inherited the office among my deputies. I cut expensive and ineffective programs, and I've reduced my budget. My Child Support Office has collected a record $10.6 million in 2020. I've collaborated with law enforcement on a daily basis. In fact, we've increased the overall case filings by 17%. And that's the first 3 years versus my prior administration 3 years. I've increased felony filings by 36%. In fact, we filed the first dealing causing death cases in the state of Indiana. In trials, we've done 59 versus 47 for the prior administration. I'm asking for your vote because I'm the most qualified, experienced, and best prepared to lead the prosecutor's office. And if you don't believe me, ask someone who knows. Thank you.
Thank you. And I forgot to explain what the timer's role is over here.
I wasn't sure, sorry.
The timer, when you have 2 minutes, but when you're 15 seconds away from your deadline, she will hold up the yellow cardboard, and then when the 2 minutes is up, or your time is up, then she'll hold up the red one, so you can finish your sentence, but that's about it. And then for those of you answering questions, you have a closing statement, so if you get cut off, you might want to spend your closing statement time finishing an answer. That's up to you. So now we'll move on to the Republican candidate for prosecuting attorney, Sean Fagan.
Thank you. My name is Sean Fagan, and I'm running as the Republican candidate, as you can see, for LaPorte County Prosecutor this year. For me, it's just about being different. Things have been the way they are, and when you get into a rut, you get complacent, and when you're complacent, you make mistakes, and things fall through the cracks. You know, I'm not as experienced in terms of attorney years as Mr. Lake, that's given. I mean, he's 55, I'm 43. I could be his little Catholic brother for all we know, I mean, from a large family. So I'm not Roman Catholic, but I appreciate good things. I'll say a nice thing about the other guy, about Mr. Lake. He's pro-life. That's good. I believe in that. He believes in that. He has a family that's large. That's a good thing. And so that's what people want in this election. They don't want heat. They want light, because it's light on the issues. What are we doing to prevent crimes? What are we doing to stop the violence? What are we doing about drugs? These things are the things that are most important in our communities. Michigan City, you had shootings last weekend. This week, you had a shooting here in LaPorte. What are we doing as an office, as a community, to kind of deal with these issues? And as that's the kind of leadership, the kind of innovative thinking that I can bring to this office. Now, experience is good, but when you have experience but not wisdom, experience but not judgment, experience but not patience, that doesn't get you anywhere. It leaves you in the ruts that you've been in before, and when, like I said, when you're in a rut, you're getting nowhere. Thank you, and I appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Fagan. And the two of you can have a seat again in the audience if you wish to. Thank you very much. Neil.
Other events.
Our next candidate is Michael Rosenbaum. He is one of 3 Republicans on the ballot for County Council District 1. And the other 2 are not here tonight, but the candidate present may now, but you may now give your 2-minute opening statement, and we will follow that up immediately with some questions for you, and then you can give your closing statement 1 minute. So, Mr. Rosenbaum.
Yes, minor correction, District 4 for the County Council.
District 4.
And there's only one other opponent in the primary. So anyway, first of all, good evening to all. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event, and those of you in attendance and watching from elsewhere. My name is Mike Rosenbaum, and I am currently the Vice President of the County Council. And for the last 39 months, I've had the honor to represent not just the 4th District, but the entirety of the county. I also serve as Secretary of the Redevelopment Commission and the Treasurer of the Fairgrounds Management Entertainment Corp. And while doing all of this, I still find time to substitute teach. I have also done court-appointed youth advocate. I have been the former supervisor of the City of LaPorte boys baseball, junior boys baseball, and also a merit badge counselor for scouting. Now, 4 years ago, I spoke at this event of being a certified public accountant with a business and financial background to grasp the complexities of the county finances to include operations and capital expenditures. To say this period has been extraordinary may be an understatement. There have been many accomplishments that are jointly achieved. We start changing the way we do business in the county from being reactive to proactive. The best example is what we refer to as the Michigan City Drawbridge that for years has dictated its costly repairs when it broke down. Through leadership, the shift was to inspect it and determine a plan of action to make the timely and necessary repairs. The continuous maintenance of the bridge will save thousands and thousands of dollars from costly urgent repairs. When the pandemic hit, the fear of the unknown caused a flurry of concerns, and attempts were made to add special projects above and beyond the necessary. Most were halted. I brought a transparency to meetings to help colleagues to explain each issue so that they were being addressed to the council meetings so that everyone would understand. Currently, with 20 years of limited resources to give employees county appropriate raises, efforts, and I'll finish up later, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. I have some questions for you here. The first one is, in your opinion, what are the most important issues facing LaPorte County, and what would you do if elected to address them?
Well, we're working on a few of them right now, so it wouldn't be, and one of them is trying to get the employees appropriate pay. Another thing that we're going to start working on, and which I hope to do, is also increase efficiency around the county. So if we do have some extra people or things, or something, we can also address those issues. We have some long-term things that we need to address, and those will start beginning, and it's not just putting out a station, an EMS station in Rolling Prairie, it's filling it, putting in an ambulance, putting in a crew, and that's part of the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question for you. How well do you think the finances of the county are currently being managed? If elected, what would you do to improve them?
The biggest thing that I saw 4 years ago was we had an operating budget, what we call the general budget, and what we found that we were spending money from other temporary sources to cover some of our expenses. And I can name several examples. The idea, and it's anything from software to just even internet costs. So what we've been trying to do is cut expenses elsewhere and keep putting those costs back into the general so that we don't have to use these other places like the riverboat, which is slowly shrinking and is eventually not be as advantageous for us as well.
Thank you. The next question. Can you explain the public safety local income tax and if you support it?
Simply put, it is an additional income tax on income earners only. It is not on Social Security. So it is on people who have wages or self-employed income. It is up to, and it's not decided yet, up to 0.5%. So someone who makes $50,000, it's $250 a year. The purpose of it is to be able to move some expenses out of the general fund and also give increases so that we can be competitive and keep experienced law enforcement, EMS workers, and in the locals, their fire departments, so that we're not losing them to outside of the county where they can get paid better.
Thank you. And are there any other questions? Anyone from the audience? No? Okay. The final question then that we have for you. If elected, what would you do to increase the efficiency, transparency, and effectiveness of our county government system?
Well, we've already started on some of it. I've spoken just as first I want to say that I'm very supportive of our EMS, our fire, and our sheriff's department and police departments. They have witnessed that in many occasions. Now, to the other question, I'm sorry, could I ask you to please repeat that one more time?
Yes. If elected, what would you do to increase the efficiency, transparency, and effectiveness of our county government system?
Okay. One of the things that most people don't know is that we're currently working with different departments to find ways where we can either eliminate positions or bring them down to part-time. That is a tremendous savings every time that we can do that. We have a couple of offices, departments that are already doing that and sharing some employees. We're going to look to continue to do that. We're also going to look to try and get an efficiency study done so that this way, as I had mentioned before, and I called for that last night at our meeting, marathon meeting last night, that was almost 4 hours.
Okay. Any more questions? Nope. Okay, well, then, Mr. Rosenbaum, please give your 1-minute closing statement now.
Okay. Continue where I kind of left off. One of the things that I found when I was sitting in the audience before I came and was elected is that when the council was going through all their resolutions, I didn't quite understand everything that they were talking about. They were spending $20,000 here, $50,000 there, $500,000 here. So one of the things that I brought was some transparency by making sure, and I give a lot of credit to our council president, to making sure that it's explained so everybody knows what we're spending the money on. That's a huge thing of transparency, knowing what's going on. Being available to people to explain, being available to people to help them. I'm going to continue working across the aisles. Once you're here, it doesn't matter Democrat or Republican. You've got to do the best for everybody. I came on, I was one of 2 Republicans, 5 Democrats. We worked. And we kept trying to work on doing the same thing. So I seek your vote in the primary for the first step to continue the progress we've made in the county council. With gratitude, thank you.
Thank you. And you may be seated again in the audience. Thank you. Okay, our next candidate is Heather Oak. Is that correct? Oak. She is the one of 2 Republican candidates for State Representative, District 20. The other candidate, Jim Pressel, is not here tonight, but Heather will now give her 2-minute opening statement.
Hi everyone, my name's Heather. I am a constitutional conservative Republican running for state representative. I'm a wife of almost 15 years to a small business owner, Andy Oak, a mom to 2 girls, 11 and 12, as well as a state licensed foster mom to a 5-year-old wonderful little boy, and a nurse of almost 15 years. And I do have to say I want to thank John Lake because I have been sexual assault trained, and I've went to many meetings with you, and you have done a great job in that aspect, so thank you. I'm endorsed by Liberty Defense PAC, an organization that works to ensure we the people's liberties are protected. And I have been endorsed by Indiana First Action, an organization that works to restore election integrity in Indiana. And I also am supported and work closely with Hoosiers for Life. I live in LaPorte, and I grew up in LaPorte County and attended LaPorte schools. I currently work in LaPorte as an ER nurse, and I work doing home care for a company in Knox. I've decided to run for state representative to protect our God-given freedoms and liberties. I never wanted to be a politician, but after the 2020 election, I knew I had to get involved. This brings me to a quote from James Tesoro. "The forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever and convinced the trees that because his handle was wooden, he was one of them. The establishment convinces us each year to keep voting for them and tries to hide their bad voting record and tries to prevent people from being on the ballot. But I say no more. We have to start fighting back and exposing politicians for who they are. They listen to the lobbyists and not the people. They line their pockets and tax us to death. We need people that will be true to their word and held accountable. If I am elected, I plan to hold monthly meetings with District 20 constituents and bring transparency to the people. So please vote on me on May 3rd. Thank you."
Thank you. Okay, and I have some questions for you. First, why do you believe that you are the best candidate for the position that you are seeking?
Sure. So, I don't know that I'm the best candidate. Actually, before running for state representative, I asked a few of my political guy friends if they would ever think of running for state representative, because honestly, I wanted to have a choice this year on who to vote for. And the people I spoke to were like, no, I think I'm better on the outside. So I, like I said, wanted to have a choice this year, and so I decided to put my name on the ballot.
Thank you. Okay, if you are elected, what will you do to receive input from LaPorte County voters and communicate with them?
That's a very good question. So I do plan on having monthly meetings with my constituents, which District 20 encompasses most of LaPorte County and then a small part of Stark. And it just so happens prior to moving back here in 2018, we lived in Stark County in Coons Lake for 11 years. And Coons Lake is part of my district. I went to church out there for 11 years, helped with the youth group, children's church. So we were active out there, and I would plan to hold monthly meetings like the third Saturday of the month, something like that, always at the same place here in LaPorte, and then probably also down in Stark County. So that way people could always know and come and bring their issues to me at the meeting.
Thank you. Okay. And what do you consider to be the most important responsibilities you would have if you are elected to the position?
Bringing concerns to the state level from the people. So if I've already talked to some constituents that if elected, they would like me to bring some bills down to the state. And I'll be meeting with someone next week who is also a foster parent and has some issues she would like to talk about. So really just talking to the people and seeing what they feel like the big issues are and what big bills they want brought down there, what they want voted on, yes or no, just representing the people.
Okay, thank you. This is more specific about some legislation. In the 2022 session of the Indiana House of Representatives, House Bill 1116 originally included a requirement that voters requesting an absentee ballot confirm under threat of perjury that they are unable to vote during all of the days available for early in-person voting and on election day. If this is introduced in the future, would you vote to make it a felony for a voter to request an absentee ballot if they are actually able to vote in person? a lot of voters chose to vote absentee ballot due to COVID in 2020. So would you support this same bill in the future?
I do think we need to make absentee ballots. You need to show proof of like a disability or say that you're in a nursing home or a military, of course. But I think we need to really cut down on our absentee ballots. And I do think it needs to be taken very seriously if you steal someone's, or not steal someone's vote, but I mean, if you're saying that you are disabled or you can't qualify for other reasons, then I do think that, I don't know about a felony, but maybe a misdemeanor, some kind of fine or something, that it should be held accountable, that's for sure. And I do think that voting days should become holidays so everyone can vote. I really do.
Thank you. According to the Sierra Club, Indiana ranks 50th in drinkable and swimmable waterways. What environmental proactive legislation would you support?
Well, I can't say I've ever thought about that, but if that is the case, I would have to bring that legislation if anyone wanted to bring up a bill that they wanted brought forth, or I'd have to, if someone brought up a bill down at the state, I'd have to come and talk to people and ask how they felt about this and how they want me to vote on it. Or like I said, if somebody has a bill to help with that, then we could bring that down to the state.
Thank you. Do you believe that Joseph R. Biden was elected decisively, fairly, and conclusively in the 2020 presidential election, and on what facts do you base your belief? I
personally do not, but I don't want to, there's Democrats in here, so, that's okay. But as far as election fraud, we do have election fraud in Indiana. And even one of the guys running for Secretary of State said that we have election fraud in Indiana. I don't think any state has 100% secure elections, and I believe we should go back to paper ballots and not voting machines.
Okay, thank you. Please assess the bills that passed just recently in the state legislature. What are you pleased with and which are you not?
Well, I don't know all of the bills that just passed recently in the state legislature, but I will say that I am not pleased with HB 1001. This is being called a vaccine protection bill, but it allows for forced testing on employees up to 2 times a week, potentially paid for at your expense. It also allows for companies to mandate vaccines, and it says that the only way that you can get out of that is via a religious or medical exemption. And so I don't believe that would be considered a vaccine protection bill. What other bill? Let's see. I don't know exactly what other bill just passed that I would say I disagree with, but that's one of them.
Okay. Okay, final question. Would you consider passing legislation allowing drive-through liquor stores in the state of Indiana?
That would be something that I would have to talk to the constituents for and see if that's something that they thought needed to be passed. But obviously we can't have open containers in vehicles, but as long as it was legal and that's what the people thought is the best idea, then that's something that could be thought about.
Okay, thank you. And now you may give your 1-minute closing statement.
I just want to say thank you for your time tonight. Once again, I'm Heather Oak. I am a Republican. I've always voted Republican. I do not represent the party. I represent the people. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. And now we ask the 4 sheriff candidates to come up here and take a seat wherever Dahlia puts your name. I think alphabetical order. One candidate is not here, but we appreciate that 4 of you came. Thank you. Okay, thank you. And we will begin alphabetically with James Arnold, if you wish to give your 2-minute opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you for putting this on tonight, by the way. My name is James Arnold, and I've been with the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office since 1999 when I started in the jail. I went to the road in June of 2001, and I graduated September 2001 from the from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. I currently hold the rank of sergeant on the patrol staff. I live in Cool Spring Township with my wife and 2 children, and I'm looking forward to making some heavy changes to the sheriff's office.
Thank you. And Mr. Heeg.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this tonight. It's a great opportunity. My name is Ron Heeg, and I'm a 25-year veteran of the Sheriff's Office. I started within the jail division, promoted to the road as a patrolman, spent 10 years as a patrolman, moved to the Detective Bureau, in which I spent 4 years as a detective, in which I investigated crimes against persons, homicides, rapes, sex offenses, child abuse. I was then promoted to sergeant, came out of the Bureau for about 2 years as a street supervisor, was then moved back to the Detective Bureau as the Assistant Chief of Detectives, spent 2 years there until Sheriff Boyd was elected sheriff, and then he appointed me his chief deputy, in which I've spent the last 7 years there. I've been active within the department. I've spent 15 years on the emergency response team, 15 years on the scuba team, and I was a field training officer for 4 years, of which I was a patrol officer. I've identified 3 strategic goals as to my political platform. 1 is public safety, 2 is personnel investment, and 3 is community investment. I'm active within the community. I serve as president of the board of directors for Grand Heritage Federal Credit Union, president of the board of directors for Stepping Stone Women's Shelter in Michigan City. I serve as vice president of LaPorte County Triad, and I'm an advisory board member of the Department of Homeland Security, Indiana Department of Homeland Security's District 1 Task Force. And I've also been a member of the LaPorte County Farm Bureau since 2005. I'm married to my wife, Heather, for 16 years. We live in rural Kankakee Township, and we have 2 daughters, Olivia, 12, and Allison, 10. Thank you.
Thank you. And Andrew Hynek.
Hi there, my name is Andy Hynek. I am currently a member of the Sheriff's Department. I reside in and lifelong resident of the Rolling Prairie area. I graduated from New Prairie High School. Following high school, I enlisted in the United States Army. I'm a military veteran. I served in the Army and the National Guard. Following my service to our country, I came back, enrolled at Indiana University at South Bend, where I currently hold an associate's degree in criminal justice. And I began my career at the Sheriff's Department 22 years ago. I've spent over half of my life serving the citizens of LaPorte County. I've been fortunate throughout my time at the Sheriff's Department to serve in every single division within the department. I started in the jail division, then went to the patrol division. I was promoted to the Detective Bureau in 2011, where I investigated property crimes, robberies, and burglaries. In 2014, I was fortunate to be moved to the United States Marshals Task Force on a new program that our department had joined, and I served there until January 1st of 2017 when I became the inaugural commander of the LaPorte County Drug Task Force. Something that I was one of the highlights of my career. We did some really good stuff during my time in the task force, some very motivated individuals that I was fortunate enough to work with. In April of 2019, I was promoted to captain, a rank that I currently hold on the Sheriff's Department. And because of that promotion, I had to move linear through the department and became a patrol commander, a position I currently serve on as the midnight shift patrol commander. I get to work with some of the most motivated deputies that we have on the department. I live in Rolling Prairie. I have a daughter that's 8 years old and a son that is 16.
Thank you. And Al Ott, please.
Thank you. My name's Al. Is that coming across? Thank you. My name's Al Ott. I'm currently in my 28th year here at the Sheriff's Department. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and everybody taking time out of your evenings to be here tonight. So as I said, I'm in my 28th year at the Sheriff's Department. I started out as a jail deputy, went on to the patrol division, went back into the detective bureaus where I spent an extended amount of time, approximately 10 years. Went out then and became a patrol sergeant and then a patrol captain. Currently, I still hold the rank of captain, but I've been assigned to the jail commander spot, which I've been in now for, this will be my 5th year, 2022 will be. You're going to hear a lot of things clearly about all of us as we all speak. So there's some differences in all of us. One that's going to stick out with myself is the jail command's position. I currently have demonstrated leadership qualities that is what sets me apart. So I have 71 employees that are currently under my command. I have just a tick over half of the entire Sheriff's Department budget that I am responsible for, as well as contracted companies, 2 of them, our medical contract as well as our kitchen contract. So I've developed strong relationships with, I just want to make sure I get these all, the local court systems, our current local social service providers, as well as numerous sheriffs and jail commanders throughout the state of Indiana. Those networks that I have developed over the past 4 years, now 5, are going to be the same values that I will hold when I become your sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a lot of questions here. Okay, to begin with, Al Ott, what are the 3 most significant issues that the Sheriff's Department must address during the next 4 years? If elected, how would you address them?
So I listed 3 things in my responses. Public safety, that should be every sheriff. I think you've heard that a few times and you probably will hear them again. Public safety. So everybody, every resident of LaPorte County should feel safe in their home, in their schools, while at work, and probably most importantly, maybe when they're out just doing recreational activities. So that's going to be one of the rules. Secondly, employee retention. How do we do that? We need to focus on increasing our wages as well as increasing our training. We need to look at our current employees, the ones that we have. We want to retain them, focus on what we have and maybe not so much what we don't have. Lastly is the fiscal responsibility. I'm demonstrating that now. In 2020, we went into contract with a kitchen service. We've since 2020, 2021, and now in 2022, we've saved over $300,000 per year. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you. And next, Andrew Heineck. If you are elected, what will you do to receive input from voters in LaPorte County and to communicate with them?
When elected sheriff, I would be highly accessible to anybody that wants to come down to the sheriff's office and meet in person. I'm a big believer in community meetings hosted throughout our community at different times, and then again, just being accessible via traditional media and social media. And again, at any time anybody needs anything, they can come up to the sheriff's department.
Okay, thank you. Next, Ron Haig. What policies will you need to change to improve operations?
Well, that's a very good question, and we're currently going through a complete revision of the policies and procedures at the sheriff's office. The current policies and procedures are well over, each one of us can say probably well over 20 years old. That when we started, then Sheriff Jim Arnold kind of did some revisions and changes, and we haven't changed them since then. We have since contracted with a company called Lexipol. They're a nationwide company that works with all police agencies and fire agencies to revise their department's policies and procedures. We are currently in that process, and we hope to wrap up with this July 1st to roll out a complete new set of policy and procedures for the sheriff's office.
Thank you. Okay, and James, why do you believe you are the best candidate for sheriff?
I believe I'm the best candidate for sheriff due to my temperament, my level-headedness, my ability to communicate with people. I have a great deal of common sense to bring to this as well. There's, like I said earlier, there's heavy changes I'd like to make in the department, but they're for the better. They're for the employees. I'm not doing this for me. I'm not running for sheriff for Jim Arnold. I'm running for all people that need representation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now a question for all four of you, and we'll begin in the middle this time with Ron Haig. And all four of you get this question. Do you support collective bargaining for county employees? Why or why not?
I think it's very important that we establish some type of procedure to assist with the men and women of the sheriff's office, not only within the merit division, but also in the patrol in the jail division and the civilian staff, such as our mechanics that do a wonderful job. Collective bargaining has never been in the sheriff's office, in a lot of the sheriff's office. Matter of fact, we met with the Indiana FOP just a few months ago, and they advised that out of the 92 counties in the state of Indiana, only 2 have collective bargainings with their county council. I do think that some changes currently need to be made to benefit the men and women of the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Al Ott.
You thought you were next.
Do you want me to ask it again?
That's a good point, or good question. And you're going to hear a lot of the same things. We are all running to be the sheriff, and we want to represent our staff members appropriately. There's a lot of things that can come from collective bargaining. I too have done the homework on that. It's not a common practice in the state of Indiana with sheriff's departments. That doesn't mean that we're not able to do that. I think a good way of approaching this is with an open mind, take in the information that is presented to us and make good sound decisions. I think at the end of the day, focusing on our staff is vital.
Okay, Mr. Arnold.
I am fully for this contract. This would bring in protections in place of things that we have for the current employees and things for employees once they get hired that would offer them protections, things we could keep, and it could also give us leverage bargaining when it comes to seeking time for raises. Thank you.
Okay, and Andrew Heineck.
Yeah, I absolutely also support collective bargaining. I think that we can put some a contract in place that protects both the employee and the employer. Currently, both our merit and our civilian staff don't operate on any type of a contract. And so if we can make their quality of work a little bit safer and a little bit better, I'm absolutely for that. And I think a contract would do that.
Okay, thank you all. Okay, and now for Al Ott. Can additional funding be found to pay for mental health services in the jail and community corrections?
Well, the community corrections portion of it, I mean, yes, there are things out there for them, but we have a director out there that would be responsible for that. There are grants, there are different fundings available that we can work on through the state level. Currently, we're in a contract with a medical company, QCC. They also have the capability of doing all that. The unfortunate part of instituting it is where we have had some obstacles, I guess, and that would be COVID. We're all familiar with that. So we had to adjust the way we do business because of that being a priority for our health of everybody, our officers, and for our inmate population.
Okay, thank you. Andrew Hynek, how do we make incarceration programs more meaningful? Please be specific.
Good question. That's one of my platforms is to reduce the recidivism in the jail, and I think we can do a couple things to make meaningful incarceration by bringing in programs such as IV Tech that is they're currently in the Elkhart County Jail. Into Work, the IN2 Work program is in the St. Joe County Jail, and I think if we can give our inmates a little bit of hope while they're here and make them a little bit better, hopefully when they are released they don't come back to our facility.
Okay, thank you. And Ron Heeg, what other organizations does the sheriff work with in order to create work release programs?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What other organizations does the sheriff work with in order to create work release programs?
Well, the sheriff works with the courts a lot and the prosecutors. They're the ones who sentence these individuals to work release programs. Then work release themselves, probably, I can't speak on their behalf because they're a separate entity than the sheriff's office, but they probably work with one like Work One and some of these temporary agencies that assign these individuals to work out. Not only that, I think the sheriff's office probably could communicate with a lot of our employers who are desperately looking for help. You can go by just about any factory or manufacturing center in LaPorte and see that they're desperately hiring. We see billboards, we hear radio ads, advertising, and I think that's an opportunity to get some of these individuals who don't belong in jail that can contribute back to their family and back to society.
Okay, thank you. James Arnold, do you support adding social workers to, wait a minute, I just got rid of the wrong one. Okay, do you support adding social workers to 911 responses when appropriate?
Absolutely, yes. Part of my platform is having a trauma response team based on mental health with incidents of high stress or critical incidents. We could have that available for our officers, for jail staff, anybody with the sheriff's office, and I would also open that up to fire, EMS, and 911 as well. Absolutely.
Okay. And, okay. Okay, Andrew, are you up? Is it your turn this time?
Sure.
Did I always ask you? Okay, well, that's the next card. It says, how do we make incarceration programs more meaningful? Please be specific. I asked that already,
Yeah,
right?
you
That's
did.
what you answered? Okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry about that. Okay. Well, then your next question is, what are your thoughts on establishing student drivers education programs in county schools?
I think student driver education programs are good. Obviously, the technical part and the educational part is more the responsibility of the school systems. But I think we can absolutely have a partnership with them by speaking to the new drivers, those students, having our deputies explain to them some of the dangers that come with driving, and again, so we can play a formidable role in those young drivers. But the educational part of it obviously is the responsibility of the school system.
Okay, thank you. And Ronald Heeg, how will you actively recruit new officers for the sheriff's office?
That's an excellent question because we're struggling with that now. Not only is the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office struggling with that, police departments and sheriff's departments nationwide are struggling with that. We see it constantly. There's not a day that goes by I don't get an email or I'll get an ad that will pop up on social media from agencies from California, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Alaska, recruiting individual officers. We need to get a salary that's comparable to a lot of these departments. It's hard to actively recruit when an individual can go to South Bend, Mishawaka, over to Hammond, East Chicago, Crown Point, and instantly make anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 more a year. We need to make that attractive. We've taken several steps at the sheriff's office, such as putting out a recruitment video to try to recruit, but we need to desperately get our salaries comparable. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and Al, how do you feel about the recent legislation to do away with permits for gun carrying?
Hot topic, right? So our presence in the ISA has given us the opportunity to have partnerships with our local or our state legislators, and at the end of the day, they are the ones that are obviously making these laws. So I believe that every citizen should have the right to carry a firearm. I was raised that way, but my belief also is that there's monumental responsibility with owning and possessing a firearm. And quite honestly, as your sheriff, I would advocate for safety and the awareness of firearm safety.
Thank you. And James, I believe it's your turn. What community programs are you involved with to have positive contact with youth in our county?
I'm sorry, the programs that I'm involved with?
Yeah, with youth.
With
youngsters,
youth?
yeah.
I'm currently not involved in any. When my sons were involved with the YMCA, we were involved with the soccer program. They've since outgrown that. I would continue doing something like that on the weekends, if outside of regular business hours. If elected sheriff, we could do something like that.
Okay. And now we have two more questions for all four of you. The first one will begin with James. We'll begin with you. What specific duty of the sheriff do you think the general public does not fully understand?
The specific duty that I don't believe they fully understand is the care for the inmates and the courthouse security. Those are large responsibilities for the county sheriff. Outside of that, then we go to rural patrols and patrols of the lakes and waterways, things like that. But the large one would be the care and care of the inmates in our custody.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. And Ron Heeg, what specific duty of the sheriff do you think the general public does not fully understand?
I think the specific duty that the public doesn't understand of the sheriff is the civil aspect of it. The sheriff is tasked with collecting back taxes and sheriff sales. There's a whole division right across the hall over there, the sheriff's office civil division. Not only that, the sheriff is tasked with serving all orders that come out of the 4 or 5 courts, the circuit court, and the 4 superior courts that come out.
Thank you. Okay, Andrew Hynek, same question. What specific duty of the sheriff do you think the general public does not fully understand?
I would say that I think the duty they don't fully understand is, again, the jail division. the sheriff is responsible for the well-being of currently 300 plus inmates, feeding them, providing that medical care for them, the mental health care for them, and that comes with a huge responsibility. You as the sheriff are responsible for 300 plus lives, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Okay, and Mr. Ott.
I agree. The general public doesn't really have much of an understanding what operating a jail is all about. But for the past 4 years and now some odd months, I have learned that, and it sets me apart. I've explained that from the beginning, and it's prepared me for this next step. What I'm asking the voters of LaPorte County to allow me to do. It is a huge responsibility. That everything that these gentlemen have touched on are exactly things that people just don't understand. It's not something that we would think that a sheriff does, but quite honestly, it's a huge responsibility.
That was a very good question that somebody wrote. Another question for all four of you. Are you going to appoint your wife or significant other to be the LaPorte County Jail matron like previous sheriffs did in the past, or are you going to continue to outsource and privatize these duties and responsibilities like the current sheriff does? So which are you going to do? We'll begin with Andrew.
No, I would not hire any relatives, significant others, wives, etc. I think the program we have now by outsourcing has proven that we're saving money by doing that, and again, at the same time, cutting back on nepotism.
Thank you. And Al.
I have. I was part of the driving force behind the idea of privatizing with the matron in specific who ran the kitchen, and I have no intentions of changing that. It's been beneficial to the taxpayers, most importantly to me. My wife has a professional career. Jamie, she's here tonight, and she has no intentions of running a kitchen where we serve over 30,000 meals a month. She feeds me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ron Heeg.
Yeah, as with L.O.T., I myself, Sheriff Boyd, and L were very instrumental in privatizing the jail and getting rid of the so-called matron's position and outsourcing that through private company. And as much as I love my wife, I would not want her working with me. And not only that, she has a professional career as well, and she would not want to come and work with me as well either. Thank you.
Okay, and James.
I'm going to echo the rest of the candidates. I would not appoint my wife to that position. That can stay as it is.
Okay, thank you. And the final question, as far as I know, if no one else has any, and this is for all four of you, will you pledge to support the primary winner of your party if it is not yourself? Let's begin with Al.
Well, yes, I hope that's me. I'm kidding. This isn't a battle against Andy, Ron, or Jim at all. These men are putting themselves, and I'm sorry, Andy Morris as well. So they're putting themselves out there to do something that's a very challenging job, and I respect all of them. I wish them all well, and this isn't going to be a fight against somebody who beats the other guy type of mentality. We need to support each other, especially during these times in our country.
Okay, thank you. Andrew Hynek.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. We're in a unique situation here, right? Where we're running for an office, but we all work together every single day, and we have each other's backs. It's not like a lot of other offices where your opponent you may never see again. These guys are my brothers, right? I have to go to work every day. They have to rely on me. I have to rely on them. So no matter who gets in the primary, I hope that's me, by the way. But if it's not me, I absolutely will support whoever's in that office. It's public safety, right?
I would echo these guys that I would hope it would be me that would make it through the Republican primary. And I think that the four of us up here could wish that the sheriff's election was nonpartisan. Fortunately, it's not. We do have to declare a party, and we've got some good candidates here. I respect every single one of them. We've all started at the sheriff's department just about the same time in our lives, so we have a mutual respect for each other, and I think we all would just like to see what's best for the sheriff's office and best for LaPorte County.
Thank you. And James?
Yep, same fourth answer out of four. It's going to be, I'm not going to blindly support anybody, but I will support the one that wins in the end. And if it's not me, I wish the next one well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for answering all of these questions. Yep. And you each have 1 minute now to make your closing statement, and we will begin with Ron.
Thank you, and again, thank you for everybody for being here tonight to learn about your candidates. I'm often asked why I'm running for sheriff of LaPorte County, and as a police officer, and these gentlemen will tell you the same thing, we have a very vested interest in the public safety and the citizens of LaPorte County, and we take it personal when something happens, when some type of crime is committed against the citizens, because we work hard to try to prevent that. And when my days are done here at LaPorte County government, LaPorte County Sheriff's Office in LaPorte County, I hope to be able to turn the Sheriff's Office, turn LaPorte County on to that next generation in better shape than it was given to me. Thank you.
Thank you. And James.
I decided to run for sheriff because I saw some changes that needed to be made. If I am able to make those changes, I believe that the community and the department will benefit in a positive light. And I hope I get that chance to prove it to you. And it'll be good times, and we need a sheriff for all people. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew.
Again, thank you to everybody that came out here tonight and took some time out of your night, everybody that's watching on TV and the replay later. I have a definitive plan for when I get elected, and that's to reduce recidivism in our jail, to focus on mental health, both of our employees and our inmates, and to have an educational approach to the heroin epidemic. All platforms that I believe throughout my leadership in my life, but most importantly within the Sheriff's Department, would lead me to be that candidate of choice. I currently serve on several boards within our community, Boys and Girls Club, Community Corrections Board, and the Small Animal Shelter Board. All leadership experience I think that I can also bring to the table. So again, I would appreciate your support in the primary on May 3rd.
Thank you. And Alan.
So I believe a sheriff must be a humble leader, a diligent learner, and a public servant. I will continue to look at ways to be innovative, create more efficiencies, and build the best culture for every member of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office. I've worked my entire career behind the scenes. I truly believe a true leader puts or promotes their employees rather than himself. My wife, Jamie, and I, along with our two daughters, Riley and Ryan, have lived in this county. Many of you I know here that have known me, have watched me grow up. This is where we live. I'm vested in this community, and I truly look forward to being your sheriff. I respectfully ask for each of your vote come May 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for participating. I want to remind everyone now that, if you didn't know, this was broadcast live on Channel 97. It will be shown in reruns in the coming weeks on public access TV station Channel 97, also on the ALCO Facebook page and the ALCO YouTube channel and the League of Women Voters Facebook page and website. So And we remind you to please be sure to go to the Vote 411 online voters guide. If you're a candidate and haven't filled it out yet, please do so. We invite you again to the candidate forum, which is next Monday, April 4th at 6 p.m. at City Hall in Michigan City. And this concludes this candidate forum sponsored by League of Women Voters of LaPorte County and Access LaPorte County. Thank you.